at Oschersleben when he crashed, and on the podium in all but 2 races in his career. It will be a 10th race start coming up tomorrow. He will look to go into it as still the rider to beat.
Absolutely, yeah. 8 races left in this championship, and he's 43 points clear of next best Wenzel. So it's definitely not over. By no means is it over. It never really is in motorcycle racing until it officially is over. So absolutely not writing anybody off at this stage. And as you rightly mentioned, Kiko, these are the sort of conditions that can easily catch even the best riders out and provide opportunities for others who may be struggling a little bit, can turn the tables slightly. But he is on pole position once again for the 3rd time this season, and he's looking a pretty unstoppable force in 2025.
The one thing is, though, that he doesn't need to win. By my maths, 43, you've got 8 races remaining. He could finish 2nd, cede 5 points to T.S. Wenzel in 2nd place in these championship standings, and he could still be champion by 3 points. It's all if, buts and maybes, of course. We're looking at Alessandro Binder at the moment. Alessandro Binder, the number 85. This was last time out was his 20th race start. His first podium of his career came at Assen in race 2, and he was 2nd. Sachsenring, it's his first front row since his debut back at Assen last year. He was also P2 on that day.
Yeah, this is equal best qualifying for the young Swiss rider. So top job done yesterday afternoon, well into the evening really it was, for qualifying for the Northern Talent Cup boys and girls. So a good start to the weekend for the 85. Now it's all about trying to get onto that podium in tricky conditions.
Rookie year for Robin Siegert, and he will be looking to add to that win that he's had this year in his 4th race at Oschersleben race 2. That was, of course, the one that Kratakville fell from, but he is the only rider who has managed to stop the number 8 this year.
Yeah, and it's the first front row start for the number 11 as well, and he has had podium finishes in his last 3 races. Finished P5 in the race before he won at Oschersleben as well, so he's on a really good run of form, is the German rider. We've got 4 German riders in the top 5 of the championship, let's not forget Kiko as well. So great stuff from the home heroes coming into this weekend in fine form.
As you can see on your screen, Belgian rider Tom Rowland, now his first front row at the Sachsenring in 2024. It was his first podium in the first race. He took 2nd, then he won in race 2. Sachsenring obviously very nice to the rider who rides for the Belgian Motorcycle Academy.
Absolutely, podium in all 4 races at the Sachsenring last season, but he hasn't had a win since the 2024 edition, the 2nd time we visited the Sachsenring last year, so he'll be desperate to try and climb onto at least the podium, and if not, victory, of course, as well in front of his home fans. And there's plenty of them that have stuck around as well, so watch out for Rowland spearheading the 2nd row in P4.
This is Tobias Kitzbichler, the 15-year-old from Austria. This will be his 23rd start in the class. He debuted at Hockenheim in 2023, and he was 2nd in the 2nd race there. His last podium came here last year, 2nd in race 2.
Yeah, a few of these riders have good memories from the Sachsenring, don't they? Won and picked up a 2nd, as you say, Kiko, at the Sachsenring last year. Clearly likes this circuit on the number 38.
Always in the top 8 on the grid, and pole at Oschersleben, and Nina Erlas looking to make history, become the first female to win in the Northern Talent Cup. Only 14 years of age, but widely regarded within the paddock as one of the shining stars coming up through motorsport in Germany.
Absolutely, only the 2nd time off the front row this season for Erlas. It's been a fantastic season so far for the number 21, and she is going to be in the podium mix without a doubt, you feel, either in race 1, in race 2, or both.
2nd in the championship, T.S. Wenzel has got a little bit of work to do. He's the teammate, of course, to Nina Erlas on the Kiefer racing machine. He is 16 years of age, pole and P2 in his first ever NTC race last year at Assen, so the potential is there. Back on the podium for the 2nd time at Assen this year. Double podium last time out, so he's got good form. Yeah,
P2 in the last 2 races, so comes into this weekend in good form, as you say. No victory yet, though. He's another rider who's going to be desperate to want to collect a 25-point haul at some point this weekend. As we get the 3-minute mark, we're getting closer to race time.
We really are. Tamas Lakac is the next one on that 3rd row. This will be his 5th start in the class, 10th, 8th, 9th and 6th 6th so far in the 4 previous. He's looking to try and break into the top 5. Completing that 3rd row, it is Roman Djurdjic, the Czech rider. He's had 6 starts in 2025, 5 finishes, all inside the top 10. This is Lukács representing Hungary for Team Lukas Pesek.
Absolutely, yeah. Best grid position of the year for the number 5, and for Djurdjic, he's finished P8, P7, P6 and P5 in his last 4 races, so I wonder what happens next if he continues. That would be P3 on Sunday morning, but he'll be hoping that is today as well. And
he's never been here, so very impressive stuff indeed from the rider, making his maiden visit, like myself, to the Sachsenring. Roman Djurdjic, as I said, completes that 3rd row. Lorenzo Pontillo is probably one of the riders that we really need to talk about. He's 3rd in this championship, just 5 points back of Wenzel in 2nd, but goes from the head of the 4th row. So Wenzel, we're Pontillo with work to do. Race 1 will be his 35th start in this class.
Yeah, the experience number 23, watch out. He is pretty much out of position, you've got to feel, on row 4, although conditions were dry yesterday, so he'll be wanting to make quick progress if he wants any hope of trying to beat Kratukville in this championship. And this weekend he needs to make a good start from 10th on the grid.
I can tell you that the rider on your screen, the number 7 of Roman Djurdjic, is not 115 years old, as that graphic said. If he is, he's very, very impressive.
Slightly over the age limit, you feel, as well.
Just slightly, but not as old as he could be, I'm absolutely sure. As you can see, the whole world is watching on NTC. Race 1 from the Sachsenring. Finn Kratukville, your championship leader, goes from pole. The halfway point in the Northern Talent Cup for 2025 is about to ignite, and we will have 14 laps of action here at the Sachsenring. Who will be king? So far, Finn Kratukville has been the one that everyone wants to beat. He's only failed to finish in 1. He's won everything else. 2nd on the grid for Alessandro Binder, 3rd for Robin Seagert, and both of them will be looking to try and land a punch on the number 8 up at the head of the field. All the way through the order, you can see in the middle of that 5th row, it is Pekkanen, the number 46 of Domi Pekkanen, the son of Pauli Pekkanen, who used to race in the BSB category. So nice to see the next generation of Finnish talent is firmly on its way to MotoGP. Danish rider Anton Richard Ellison brings up the rear. Myself, Kiko Giles, Elliot York alongside me, taking you through 14 laps of this Northern Talent Cup Race 1 here at the Sachsenring, and that to me, El, looks like a dry line for me.
It certainly does. Obviously still some wet patches about. I was trying to look as you were running through the grid, Kiko, from our commentary box. We've got a good vantage point here at the Sachsenring to who was on slick tyres. Most of what I could see from the naked eye are slicks, especially in the rear. I did see the 88 of Ruben Nieland, though, on a definite wet weather rear tyre. So obviously towards the back of the grid you can probably take a gamble, and why not? There is some dark clouds still hovering around this circuit, so rain is definitely not out of the question completely, even though we do have a pretty much dry racing line, as you can see there. It is going to be interesting to see, though. We're not going to get any tyre info through. We're going to have to just do it by judging from what you can see on the TV screen. So it's going to be something we'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that because my eyesight is shot, mate. Coming up through the top of the circuit. This is through turn 10, and then it all drops all the way downhill. The Swiss are in, and as you can see, they're supporting Alessandro Binder up there in 2nd place. He's from Lucerne in Switzerland, a very pretty town indeed. And we'll be looking at, it's not a massive journey over from Switzerland here to Germany, but we'll be looking at the travel, particularly in the weather of today, was well worth it.
Absolutely, yeah. Good to see different nationalities come in support in the Northern Talent Cup. We saw Jurien van Krupten, last year's title winner, pick up points in the Red Bull Rookies Cup race that we've just seen. So good motivation for these riders on the road to MotoGP, and well on his way to MotoGP, you feel. Here's this rider, the number 8 of Kratukville. Will he claim another victory? We're about to find out. Let's try and see what tyres he's on. I think they are slick tyres. Can't be 100% sure, but pretty sure they are slick tyres. That's a wet front.
That's a wet front on Robin Seagert. So unless he knows something that we don't, I'm not sure that wet is going to last very long.
There was quite a few wet front tyres tyres at least in that pack as well. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens.
And we've got a few riders just in front of our comms box getting in the wrong grid position. So already drama before we get out. Oh, and we got hands in the air at the back of the grid as well, and the yellow flags have come out. I can tell you that much. That is because I think one rider has got a problem. He's getting wheeled off now, and he's actually doing it on his own accord. So well-trained young man, the number 9 of Manny van Tilburg, the Dutch rider on a Manny 96 racing machine. He was due to start 21st. It looks like pit lane if he can. 12 nationalities in the 2025 Northern Talent Cup. Who will take victory? Race 1 is underway as we fire into life. Finn Cratchville gets a brilliant start. The 8 from pole is going to lead the charge down towards turn 1. Spots on the camera lens. Let's see if it's mental rain or if it's actually starting to team down through turn 1. This is always tight, and I think the Northern Talent Cup guys and girls are all through cleanly. Through turn 2, we'll get them to the Omega, and this is another pinch point here. Turn 3, it's all very much one line, but so far, so good. Slick runners at the front, I believe, on Finn Cratchville's machine, and the number 11 on the wet front. So that will be Robin Seigert, who has come scything through up into P2 from 3rd on the grid, and he looks like he's giving him a hard time, but this is where it's dry, Al.
It certainly is. Down the hill then through turn 7 and then towards 8, where we've seen a few crashes already, so be careful on this opening lap. But Cratchville is pulling away at the front already, clearly confident. More spots of rain down the bottom of the hill. Maybe the rain radars have suggested that rain is coming, and that's why some have selected wet weather tyres.
So far, nothing on our commentary box window, but if it does, be sure that we will tell you. This is getting tasty up through turn 11, through the Ralph Waldman curve and down the waterfall section. So as we come through, Binder moving into 3rd place. 4th place, I think, is Wenzel. So Wenzel has come up from the 3rd row of the grid. Oh, it's getting tight. Look at that. I'm sure that's a wet tyre on the number 20 down there. That's Tom Rowland, won here last year.
Yeah, you can tell by the way he was trying to get on the power, and it was squiggling around on the rear end when asking for the power. And again, coming up the hill. The wet tyres obviously do not like the heat and the temperature going into it from the dry asphalt. So, yeah, wet weather tyres on some of these riders. Let's see what Cratchville is on, but it looks to me potentially is on slick tyres, but we'll try and get a closer look. More spots of rain, though, down at turn 1.
Yeah, let's see if they've played a blinder here or not. Oh, that's getting tight. The 85, that was, of Binder versus Kitzbichler out there in 4th place, I think it was, who was a bit sideways. All the way down, Wenzel, Rowland, Pontillo up to 7th. Lukács holds 8th. Melgren has come through as well. That's the number 54 coming all the way, racing up the order. That's a really fast start indeed from the 54. Let's see, where did he start? He started all the way down the order, surely. 16th place, indeed he did. So Valdemar Melgren, the Swedish rider from Vallentuna, the 16-year-old on the Nordgren Racing Honda, has come right into contention, and Swan Emprin is rounding out your top 10 at the moment. But they come up through the top of this circuit. That looks very, very dry out there to me. Trying, get it spinning up through there. Turn 11, that was the 38 of Kitzbichler, who's now moved up into 3rd place. So Kitzbichler looking very good indeed to try and move through if he can. They're both on wet, you know, El. They're both on wet tyres. So obviously Kitzbichler's got a bit more feeling perhaps than Seigert.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting towards the end of the race then. If anyone is on slicks, obviously trying to get temperature into those tyres, it's going to take a lot longer. The riders who are on wet tyres, obviously confident to push. I'm trying to see what Cratchville's on, can't quite see. Fast up the race for the race leader, but then from Kitzbichler on the 38 to 139, it is wet tyres then. So clearly pushing, and that looks like it potentially is raining down at turn 1. So a good call then, it looks like, from the riders and teams to go with the wet weather tyres. But you've got to be careful not to take too much energy and grip out of the tyres. Just like that, asking for a bit too much power, you're going to get a slide on. That was the 37 Kitzbichler, who just said the fast after the race, he was well over half a second quicker than your race leader. You can see it's bunching up at the front.
The only one in the 39s last time around, Tobias Kitzbichler. So very, very good indeed, the 39.845. So as we take stock at the front, The top three all covered by, what's that, about just over a second or so coming through turn 7. Northern Talent Cup wet tyres on a drying track, or drying from where we are, and at least from where they are right now on the track. Spectacular, if nothing else. So this is a bit of a waiting game. Look at the thing, it's just absolutely sideways on. So the wet tyres, if you speak to any racer about riding on wet tyres, whoa, that's what can happen. You just lose a load of grip in the middle of the corner. It's like riding on chewing gum, is what a load of racers say when wet tyres are used on a drying track.
I'm just looking over the hill there out of our commentary box window, and it looks like there's a lot of rain coming this way from the sort of waterfall section. I don't think it's quite reached us yet, but there's definitely rain near the circuit, and you can see, yeah, it's getting wetter, isn't it? You can tell by the asphalt and the sort of conditions out there that it is starting to rain at least a little bit around this circuit. So good call from the riders to go onto wet tyres. This is a great battle further down the fields.
It is indeed.
That's the 46 of Pesek. So that's a good move up into the final corner, and on the way he goes. Yep,
that's Domi Pekkanen moving up through, indeed, on the Pesek racing machine, up into 8th place. I tell you what, Alessandro Binder, well, his fans have made a long trip over, but down in 9th now. Got a little bit of work to do, perhaps, as they come through. That's getting tight down at turn 1, but safely through we go. We're looking at the 5 of Lukacs, who's moved right up now ahead of Pontillo. Then it's Wenzel, who's now dropped all the way back. I just wonder if Wenzel was on slick tyres, because he got a lightning start, and as slowly but surely, as we see more spots of rain everywhere we look on this track, slowly drop back down, and Wenzel now is under pressure from Pekkanen. Then it's Binder and the Swan Emprin, the 96. Then it's Malgren, the number 54 in 11th.
Yeah, the 23 of Pontillo as well is definitely struggling more as Pekkanen dives up on his way through on the number 46. So Pekkanen clearly got great confidence on that 46 machine as Crattenville continues on his way. It's definitely raining at most parts of the circuit now. You can tell by the way the riders are a little bit more tentative in the changing conditions underneath them. So this is going to be interesting to see who's left a little bit of life in their tyres, because they would have been churning up on the opening couple of laps.
And the last lap around, the pace really dropped as well, 40.9, 42.0. This is a slow-mo of Finn Crattenville, and that confirms a wet front tyre. I'm not really sure what the rear is. Maybe it could be a slick rear, but I very much doubt it. I don't think so. As we have a look, oh,
it's wet.
Yeah, it's definitely a wet front. Can't quite see. Is it wet? Is it a wet rear? Yeah, maybe so. I think
saw some grooves in the middle part of that slow-mo.
Oh, that is raining.
Yeah, can confirm it is raining here, and the white with a red cross flag is being flown just to indicate to the riders, not that they probably need it, of course, but obviously safety paramount that there is rain in the air, and it is definitely coming over the circuit now from the waterfall section. This is a good battle in the lower ends of the top 10 and in the battle for 8th place. It's going to go all the way to the flag. Who's got more confidence in the wet weather? First time they've been in the wet conditions in race trim this season, so this is going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out. 4/10 splitting the top 2 at the front for the first split.
Swan Emprin, that was, just moving up through the orders now ahead of Lorenzo Pontillo. So we rejoin your leaders, Crattenville and Kitzbichler, coming through turn 7. It's wonderful, long, sweeping left-hander all the way down to the bottom of the hill. Kitzbichler last time around was a bit quicker, but you can expect that because Crattenville is arriving to the scene and to the drizzle first, and he won't know what to expect. And for Kitzbichler has a little bit more of a reference, of a safety margin if it does go wrong up ahead of him.
Yeah, and of course Crattenville is the championship leader, has a lot more to lose in terms of the championship than Kitzbichler does. So Kitzbichler hasn't won since he won here last season, and he'll be desperate to stand on the top step of the podium. So this is going to be interesting. He's closed right up again. It was 7/10 at the start of this lap, well, pretty much 8/10 actually, and now it's 3/10. You can see on your TV screens it's 3/10 and pretty much nothing. This is a great fight unfolding at the front. 9 laps to go when they cross the line.
Tell you what, if Kitzbichler wants to make a move, he's going to have to make this one cleanly. There's a lot at stake here, and Crattenville, at the moment, is going to extend that championship lead by quite some margin, and he could really do without getting in a real dodgy fight at the front. And still, with 9 laps of this race to go, it's a miracle that we've got this far, and so far, no mistakes anywhere that we've seen or been notified of. So no jump starts either, apart from Manny van Tilburg starting from pit lane. It's all been about the on-track action, and Kitzbichler has decided that he's going to go under, over or across and into the lead and moves through. That is a very snazzy move indeed, up to P1 at turn 4, and now let's see what he's got now he's hit the front. Can he pull away? Will he want to pull away? And will Crattockville also drop his pace and try and go with him, or will he settle for second, knowing that the rider who's just gone past him is only 10th in this championship and is in decent form, but is not really going to come into it.
He made that look easy, didn't he, Kitzbichler? Around the outside at turn 3 and then into turn 4, the inside line. So top job, but this could be a good tactic from Crattockville, you feel. He's led the whole way round. He's been the sort of guinea pig heading into the unknown conditions that they do start to worsen as well. So he just maybe fancied following someone, or, to be honest, Kitzbichler might just be that little bit quicker. Siegert in P3 was the quickest of the lot, though, last time around at 43.7, less than a tenth quicker than Kitzbichler, your new race leader. But do not count out the number 11 just in the back of your picture there from this victory fight as well. And
Tom Rowling as well, moving through up into 4th place, but he's a long way back as well ahead of Thomas Lukács. So that's your top 5, and then it's Domi Pekkanen and Swan Emprin there in 7th. Gertlich has moved up into 8th place, making that 9th. Pontillo has just got back ahead of her, and then it's Wenzel, your 2nd place in this championship, who is way down in 10th place. Now that is a real disaster for the championship as it stands right now. As you can see on the graphic, last lap around, it was Siegert who was moving on through. The number 11 El said that he's really coming into this, and Robin Siegert really fancies himself here. As they come to the Omega, you can see just how much worse the conditions have got since the start of this race just a few laps ago.
Yeah, you can see the rain teeming down on your camera lenses now, and when you can see the rain physically in the air from the TV, you know it's heavy, and can confirm that it is. So conditions worsening, still all okay for the race to continue, of course. They're just getting a little bit more slippery, so grip is at a premium here. They've got to find a way around the Sachsenring circuit like they haven't done before. So this is going to be interesting, but Kitzbichler leading the way pretty comfortably, still sliding around, fantastic stuff. But we are now a lead group of 3 with Siegert really pulling the pin in this last couple of laps. He's got confidence on that number 11 Honda.
I tell you what, you say comfortably, but if he keeps going out onto the curve, the 38 of Kitzbichler will not be feeling very comfortable, because we know what these white lines are like round here at the Sachsenring, and particularly down through 7 and into 8. So be very, very careful down there. We're down at turn 12 at the moment. Everybody's safely through at the moment, using all the curve again. Kitzbichler definitely got a bit more feeling perhaps than Crattockville, but the number 8 will just be very happy just to sit and watch here. We're at half race distance when we come across the line this time around. You can see how wet the curbs are with that camera shot coming out on the exit of turn 13, the Queckenberg corner. Now side by side across the line, this is for the race lead here in Northern Talent Cup race 1, but in the end Crattockville just not needing to get back ahead of Kitzbichler, and Siegert looking so good in 3rd.
He is again at fastest lap in terms of compared to the top 3 and the rest of the riders at 142.839, 143.076 from Crattockville, and Kitzbichler was actually the slowest of the lot in terms of the top 3 on that lap around. Bit closer though compared, but at this moment in time, Siegert definitely has the pace, the only rider in the 142s as things stand. But now, catching up to the top 2 is one thing, trying to pass is another. And on this opening half of the lap, 7 laps to go, 6.5, let's say, Kitzbichler looks like he's very comfortable in the opening section, but this is where he's just been sliding around a little bit, hasn't it? Asking for the power going up the hill. This is turn 8.
Through turn 8, back up the other side of the hill, and out on the white line. I really tense up when I see that in wet conditions, because that normally only ends in one way. But let's see how many more laps Kitzbichler can get away with that. Of course, he is leading this race quite comfortably at the moment, the 38, but he is definitely making us wince up here, up in comms. Further back, Gertlich has just moved up into 8th place. Good battle going on down there for 8th place with Swan Emprin and T.S. Wenzel. Well, what a load of work he has got to do to try and move on through and get do some damage limitation, because at this moment the title really is going one way, and Crattockville Wills not even your race leader. This is the battle behind. This is for P5, and that is Domi Pekkanen trying to come through on the Lucas Pesek Racing Tamas Lukac, but not this time around. And just ahead of them, Tom Rowland, who was so quick here and won here last year. Podium in race 1 as well, don't forget. Across the line one more time, tuning inside this time around for Lukac, and this time that looks like Lukac has got it done and up into 4th place. So very, very good stuff indeed. Ahead of Tom Rowland, and in 6th place, the number 46 of Domi Pekkanen, and as you can see, 14th on the grid, up 8 places. He's riding in the top 6, and that would be a real turn up for the books. Oh, hang on, where's Kitzbichler gone? I saw his name dropping down the order. He has gone. Kitzbichler has gone down, and we will wait to pick it up. But that has re-promoted Kratzokville. There he is. Good to see him walking away indeed. But the 38 has gone. That looks like at turn 2. I thought I saw some camera movement. Yeah. I thought I saw some odd movement, and I thought I saw someone parked near a barrier. There was someone, and it was Kitzbichler. Your race leader is there in the gravel trap, and it is Kratzokville versus Seigert. It's a German 1-2 here with 6 laps to go at the Sachsenring.
Drama then at the front with 6 laps to go. I hope we get a replay. Good to see Kitzbichler back up on his feet, but clearly, obviously, pushing a little bit too much in these conditions, and they're changing lap by lap. The rain is coming down pretty heavy here at the Sachsenring as it really closes up between the top 2, but you can see how tentative they are through turn 12, the Sachsen curve at the bottom of the hill, and look at it teaming down towards the end of the lap. So things are getting tricky out there, and the race leader did crash, and that's proof of it.
And it is getting heavy down the bottom of that track. Look at it coming out there. We can't quite see out the left of our comms box because of the reflection of the comms box next door. And on this part of the track where they are, it's raining, but it's not as heavy. But down at the other end of the circuit, it looks a mess down there. So a lot of water will be falling down at turns 12 and 13. And what did we say? Kitzbichler hitting the front. He now becomes the guinea pig. He now starts seeing the conditions for the first time and not Kratzokville. And more importantly, for Kratzokville, he will have seen that accident. He'll now know where the conditions are a bit dodgy.
Absolutely, and Kitzbichler crashing out means that battle we were focusing on when we missed the crash between Lucas, Rowland, Pekkanen, Pontillo, Gertlich, and Emprin as well becomes a podium fight towards, well, a bit further behind these guys, 8 seconds, 9 seconds pretty much. You can see there though that chasers are having a better time of it in terms of lap times. The rain's teeming down at the bottom end of the circuit, so easy as you go, fellas. This is a great fight at the front, but got to be careful. They've obviously seen Kitzbichler, assuming he was still leading the race at that stage, crash out, so they're going to be very much careful in the last 4.5 laps.
It's raining, it's pouring. The Northern Talent Cup is anything but boring. 8 and 11, 1 and 2 coming through turn 11 and downing towards turn 12. Kratzokville is going to be under attack, but I'd be very, very brave if Seigert makes that move indeed, and he does, and he still holds on. And I can tell you now, it is now really heavy rain on our comms box window. So that rain that was down at turn 12 and 13, look at it, you can see it on your camera, and no wonder that Kratzokville, your championship leader, your race leader, is putting a foot down, because the weather has really turned sour here at the Sachsenring. It's become the Sachsenring. 4 laps to go, and there's nothing between them, and there's nothing behind them. You can't see anything. How big is this gap? It's about 6.5 seconds. Yes, it is across the line. And look who has come in to mistake by Kratzokville. But more on that in a minute. Look who's come up into 3rd place. Spieler Gertlich. What a performance this is. One of Germany's biggest rising stars is making a debut this weekend here in the Northern Talent Cup, and she's come right the way through up into 3rd.
And she was over 3 seconds quicker than the race leaders. She's 6.4 seconds behind, ahead of the group, and was over 1.5 seconds quicker than the rest of that group as well. This is fantastic stuff from Gertlich on the 24. Do not rule her out of victory contention here as conditions continue to worsen. Fortunately, Manny van Tilburg has crashed out on the number 9. Hopefully they're all okay as we continue on at the front. This race is far from over, of course. There you can see confirmation over 3 seconds quicker, 3.5 seconds make it quicker. Gertlich was on that lap than these two. Let's see if she appears in screen. She
we've
does,
got a red flag.
we have a red flag.
We've got a red flag. The gap was down to 5 seconds, but I think that is the smart decision there. The rain had really got a bit heavy here for the Northern Talent Cup, and I make that a race because we should be 2/3 race distance. I think we are going to have a result here, and if we do, we will have a very, very good win indeed from Robin Seigert ahead of Crattockville and Gertlich on the podium for the first time in her first race. Absolutely fantastic stuff, but we'll wait for confirmation on our timing screens for that. But we do have a red flag because the rain is seriously coming down now.
Yeah, hopefully Manny van Tilburg is all okay. Just had a flash up on the screens that he's heading to the medical centre. Hopefully that hasn't caused the red flags as the riders peel back into pit lane. That should be the end of the race, and that means at the end of it, it will be Crattockville, the last completed lap. He ran wide at turn 1, remember. Seigert came through to P2, and I think they're just the team are just consoling him. No restart, 3/4 race completed. So that is the checkered flag, and you can tell he is so disappointed, Seigert. He'd just taken the race lead, but understandably so. Look at the weather conditions now. It's getting pretty treacherous out there. Good call.
It's you need a rubber ring at the Sachsenring. Look at them. Look how much standing water there is down there. It's almost like a swimming pool at turn 13. Up into pit lane they go, and it is another victory, I believe, for Crattockville. Although he doesn't look too overly enamoured. Maybe he does now. I think he's a little bit confused. Of course, on the timing screens, we have got Crattockville as our winner here. But on your timing tower, we have got Seigert. So let's just pause for a minute. I'm fairly sure it's Crattockville now that the race is not going to be restarted. So I think Crattockville, his near 100% record of race wins in 2025 is still intact. And look at him, how cold he is. He has even got the coat on. Standings as of lap 10, that means Crattockville is our winner.
Certainly does. So he got to the front. Kit Spickler unfortunately crashing out a couple of laps before that, and that's why in the latter stages of these sorts of races where the weather conditions are worsening, red flags have potential. It's important to try and get to the front. Of course, Seigert really unlucky, to be fair. He wouldn't have known the red flag was coming, so unfortunate for the number 11 to not stand on the top step. But it is another 25-point haul for Crattockville. Top job in tricky conditions.
And another thing that will have played into the mind of race direction there as well is the fact that it's gone very dark here as well at the Sachsenring. Visibility to Marshall points, visibility because of the rain as well. So it is a mix of a few things. I can tell you it is absolutely bucketing down outside. So unfortunately we were robbed of what would have been a grandstand finish there with Schmiele Gertlich coming through. But what a fine effort from the number 24 coming through on the grid. A very, very solid job indeed, and looking very good for tomorrow with that first podium in the class.
Absolutely. So conditions have worsened. You can see on the screens that happened pretty quick as well. We could see over the horizon that the wet weather was coming, and fair play to the riders and teams. I think me and you, Kiko, would have started on slick, so we'd have been absolutely snookered at the start of that race. So that just goes to show what we know. That's
why we're up here in commentary. We bring the entertainment, I hope at least, and not the how to act as a rider. Brilliant embrace down there in a very wet Parc Ferme indeed, and for Schmiele Gertlich, fantastic stuff. Seigert second, almost coming to victory, and then in P1, well, we've seen it all year. Crattockville, I tell you what, who will be very annoyed that Gertlich did manage to pinch her way through. Tamas Lukács was looking at that podium, wasn't he, the Hungarian rider? In the end has to settle for fourth. If he'd held on for another lap, he'd have just managed to bag that podium, but in the end, no can do. And unfortunately for the number 5, he'll just have to wait a little bit longer until he's able to come on through. It is still a personal best result, though, it must be said. His best of 4th, but the first podium of his career still eludes him.
You're obviously going to be pretty disappointed with that, and understandably so. If he'd just held on, like you say, for another half a lap, I mean, very easy to say, of course, but Gertlich, as we saw, had phenomenal pace. So this is what happened to Kit Spickler then, coming out of turn 2. Over the top he goes, pretty nasty high side, as we said. He tried to cling on to it, didn't he? Fair play to Kitzbichler, and thankfully he was straight back up on his feet. So that is what happened at the front when we were focusing in on the battle behind.
Well, that was a big get-off, wasn't it? That was really... But we said, El, that that's the risk you take if you want to go and move through into P1 in these kind of changeable conditions. That's exactly what can happen. You really do run the risk of finding out, being that guinea pig and going out. I am amazed, though. It was the... but there were a couple of crashes, weren't there? Manny van Tilburg and, of course, Kitzbichler, who we just saw. But besides that, the talent levels in the Northern Talent Cup to keep it upright in these kind of conditions, these monsoon-like conditions, very, very good indeed.
Yeah, pretty much dry conditions to start the race on the opening couple of laps, and then completely deteriorated. They had dry conditions for a couple of laps, then mixed conditions for another few, then wet conditions. So all the elements to deal with for the Northern Talent Cup riders out there, and they all did a very good job in doing so. Unfortunate, of course, for the crashers. Van Tilburg, hopefully he's all okay, and Kitzbichler too, he was back up on his feet. So hopefully those two riders will be back out tomorrow in hopefully better conditions than this. And it's a good job this weather didn't fall about 15 minutes earlier, because we wouldn't have been racing.
I'll tell you what, I think it's that wet they can't even get the interviews going for us up here in comms, unless they're doing it a little bit later on. And unless we're having a look at a very nice curb, I presume the result standings will come. And I've just been told the result standings will not come, but anyway, I can do it for you. Kratzakville, Seigert and Gertlich ahead of Lukács, Pontillo and Rollin, Pekkanen, Emprin, Wenzel salvages 9th, Melgren there in 10th place. Anina Erlas, Nyland, Viscosil, Binder 14th, and Kurzel down there in 15th place, grabbing the last points. But as you can see, the Sachsenring, it is rather wet. Have you got any armbands to borrow, El? Because I don't fancy swimming in that.
Yeah, we've got to walk back to the media centre after this one. So yes, that's going to be a pretty damp walk back, let's say, but I don't think this commentary box is suitable for camping overnight, unfortunately. So hopefully it clears up, but if it doesn't, then we'll have to suck it up. Tougher conditions, of course, for the riders to be out there racing in these conditions, and fingers crossed. Weather forecast does suggest that tomorrow is going to be a little bit better than today.
It's not hard.
Well, yeah, that's very true. It's not hard. I mean, if it's a wet race, absolutely fine, but just not in these conditions. And they've had a little bit of a taste of the wet weather. So we're going to get the podium very shortly. I mean, they're going to want to celebrate the podium, of course, but sending them out in this is cruel. A little bit harsh.
Yeah, this is like a penalty. I think they'd rather do a long lap than stand out here. Well, here we go. Schmiele Gertlich, it is in P3, or do we call her Smiler? Who knows? But whatever it is, smiling is what she'll be doing. Fantastic stuff there. Up in 3rd. 2 women on the podium in NTC in 2025. It doesn't get much better than that, does it? 2nd place for Robin Seigert. Seigert translates as win in German. So close he was. Not that I speak German, of course, let's not get carried away. And Kratzakville mounts the podium, gets up there into P1. But that is going to be in the trophy cabinet for a few years to come in the Gertlich household, isn't it?
Absolutely fantastic stuff to see. Another girl on the podium. Phenomenal for the Northern Talent Cup to be having such success. Seigert will be a little bit disappointed potentially on missing out on the victory, but he looks pretty happy with P2, and so he should be as well. But Kratzakville, that trophy cabinet is extending with P1s galore. Another victory in 2025.
Indeed it is. I don't think it'll be his last. Time for the national anthem. It's the German one. Well, we always love hearing the German national anthem. That is one of the most resplendent on our kind of radar in motorsport. We've heard it many times. El, before we get away from the podium, some closing thoughts.
A good race in the end, a great battle at the front. Of course, we were robbed, let's say, for want of a better term, of a brilliant finish to that race. But of course, it was good to stop the race when possible. But a nice little teaser, a nice little taste of what's to come tomorrow morning. 8:45 race time. Do tune in.
Yes, 8:45, it all goes lights out. You can join myself and El here up in comms at the crack of dawn at 8:35. Whoever scheduled that, I'm waiting for you. I think the standings are taking their time yet again. If they are, then that's no problem. We'll be able to update you tomorrow, and stay tuned to the Northern Tunnel Cup socials.
Could play Guess the Corner, though.
Is that turn 7? Oh, what a shame, can't see now. What was your prediction?
Turn 7 as well.
Oh, very good. Well, then we're both wrong. Finn Crattockville takes the victory here by just over 0.2 of a second, really. Very, very close. But the big news, Smila Gertlich will be absolutely elated with that. Germany 1, 2, 3 in Germany. That'll get the home crowd on their feet, and some bums on seats for tomorrow on Sunday morning, bright and early. Outside of the main places, good result from Valdemar Mellgren, the Swedish rider coming through, but it was William Kurzel who took the last point, just ahead of Dean Hoove and Roman Durdis. All the way down, Manny van Tilburg and Tobias Kitzbichler, who we saw the crash from CCTV footage, rounding out the order, but no finishes there. He's now on 150 out of 175. Finn Crattockville sports a 54-point lead, but it's over Robin Seigert this time. He moves up 2 places ahead of Thias Wenzel, who drops 1 and he's now 61 down. 1 point ahead still of Lorenzo Pontillo, and Nina Erlas holds 5th. Tom Rowland, last year's winner here at the Sachsenring, up into the top half dozen. As you can see, a few other chops and changes, but nothing too extreme besides Dommy Peckham with that career best result there inside the top 10 in 7th. And all the way through the order, it's a packed old grid in the Northern Tunnel Cup in 2025. 12 nationalities we've got on the schedule for this weekend, and it all goes down to Belgium and Zeno Bulte in 22nd place. He scored 3 in 2025 thus far. So, believe it or not, this is how it started. We're going to leave you with the highlights here for the Northern Tunnel Cup's Race 1 at the Sachsenring. Join us tomorrow, 8:35. Me and El will be up here keeping you company. Race lights out at 8:45. See you then. We might be camping in here because of the weather. El, got a brolly?